Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East West Show. Jack Zhao, the East West Show with G&E TV. To start the week in the morning with a very saddened heart that we all heard about what happened in Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay Casino Hotel. That massacre once again. Well, our thoughts are with the families who have lost their loved ones. Our condolences are with the lives shattered deeply. I just wonder what's wrong with the people? What's wrong with the human? Well, anyway, too bad to even think about. Joining me today is my good friend, Coco Wang. I invite her to join me for a little moment of silence, please, for those who passed away in the massacre. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Life goes on. Life goes on with or without your will. Anyway, and when life goes on, medical care has to go on because you really have a health to worry about. It was about a week and a half ago we heard from Donald Trump that she's making another attempt to overturn Obamacare. Poor Obamacare, over and over again being attacked. So that's why we put the title today, Obamacare Attacked Again, something like that. So to get to the answer, to get to the answers of all the questions, let's welcome Coco of Gold Honor. She is a founder and a CEO of Gold Honor, a professional company. Thank you for
Jack.
coming.
Thank you, Jack.
We need to brief ourselves with some overall view about Obamacare before we're seeing or facing the challenge, the new challenge. And first, the care so far, how's it going, how's it doing? And then we see what kind of challenges are we facing, or is Obamacare facing this time, please?
Okay.
Right, shall we? Go ahead.
So let's backtrack a little bit about Obamacare.
Okay.
So Obamacare right now is still being the care that we, as a citizen, as the resident here, are still undergoing. First of all, it's a so-called Affordable Care Act. What it does is that it offers government subsidy that you could purchase through a state exchange market in order to lower your premium and maybe subsidize for your benefits.
All right.
As a result, you're paying cheaper premium upfront. So the subsidy kick in while you're paying your premium.
Okay.
And then at the same time, your benefit maybe is much cheaper than the rest of the population.
To understand where we are as an overall picture, roughly, we're talking about Obamacare is still in force.
Correct.
Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. Until somewhere, somehow, somebody with a solid, tangible replacement, Obamacare is still Obamacare.
Correct.
Am I right?
As of today.
Okay. As of today. And when we say as of today, we're talking about, I'd rather look into a distant future or mid-range future whatsoever. See, how are we going to trust Obamacare? How long? For what extensive period of time can we still trust Obamacare that we have a care? It looks very shaky to all of my audiences. Go ahead, please.
Correct. As of today, I really can't give you a certain, exact, confident answer as far as how Obamacare, how long it's going to be. However, even in the past bill or past laws that is being raised by the state Republicans, they even give us a time frame before the change will kick in. So that's roughly about 3 to 5 years. So which means we're looking about 2022, 2023, if anything that will be passed and enforced.
All right, okay. One thing for sure, I do know that when you are changing a medical care system, it is totally different from you change a different bus, right? You jump another bus, that's it. right? You know, you can do the decision within seconds. For a country big like this, for a system big like this, to shift, to change from head to toe for a brand new thing, I don't think it's an easy job.
Definitely not.
For that to take 3-5 years, that's very natural, right? Do you think this time Trump is ready to do so, or he is once again doing his lip service?
So before I came on the show, actually, I'm glad you asked, Jack. I researched a lot of news on this topic because I want to make sure I am overall well informed before I share it with you and the audience. So with regarding this topic, I feel that people have lost confidence in President Donald Trump. As you know, a week ago, he mentioned about the once again attack on the Obamacare. He wants to repeal it or review it, and then half week later, he announced the fact that about the tax cut on the wealthy. So what we're seeing right now is that he's trying to make something changed during his candidacy. So during his first year of presidency, he will have something at least accomplished. I'm not so sure whether that's something that he's actually have in mind, or whether that's something that it just lip work. However, from my perspective, if you're gonna repeal something, you're gonna change something without a secondary backup plan or a tangible plan, it will be very much unrealistic.
You're right. It pretty much, excuse me if I say anything wrong, excuse me for that, and also my audiences, excuse me if I say anything wrong. It sounds like pretty much a hit and run situation.
In a way.
All right.
Yes.
And well, all of a sudden, those were the days talking about DACA, and from DACA, there are 2 weeks talking about Obamacare overturn.
Correct.
And all of a sudden, there's no more word on Obamacare, and it moves to tax cut.
Correct.
Right? Which, of course, I support. Tax cut. Everybody who cuts my text, I raise my both hands for, both thumbs for, and that's good. But during time interval, all of a sudden, once again, we hear this overturn of Obamacare thing, and then later there's nothing to follow. It looks like a hit and run to me.
Correct.
Do you think so?
I think so. Actually, I backtracked a little bit. Looking at the attack from the Republican, I look into the detail with what they're regarding. Basically, Senator Lindsey Graham and then the Bill Cassidy championed a new bill that would convert the so-called Obamacare federal Medicaid funding and insurance subsidy into state blocked grants. So what does that mean? It's basically government is shifting federal funding, giving the control to state government. Basically, the state government, from their proposal, from then will be able to determine whether I will use the fund for healthcare or not.
In other words, are they releasing or shifting the burden of subsidy to state funding?
In this proposal, yes. So it's not yet activated or not yet enforced. It's just that the proposal is doing so. So that raised a big concern to us.
But no state has the money, so.
Yes, you're right. So basically what they're going to do is, so along with the tax cut, what they're going to do is give the state more freedom in order to allocate how they're going to use their tax collections based on their allocation.
Okay, thank you for mentioning that. It reminds me, because lots of my audience might have that concern. We're talking about tax cut, which is so welcomed by average American, right? However, if you say in exchange of Obamacare or a subsidy whatsoever, it sounds to me a string attached. It has a tail there somewhere, somehow, with a string attached. Is that a guess, or is that something for sure?
We don't know yet, because as you know, even with the tax cut, even with the Obamacare repeal attempts, there has not been any official document. But what we have seen is that as the Senator Republicans, they are very much united. They say everything in uniform. So everybody supports tax cut. Everybody thinks they're going to make America great again.
But we do not know there's a string attached, right?
Correct. That's not yet revealed. Not yet revealed.
All right. If that is a fact, we're going to give lots of deduction of the value of a tax cut because you have string attached, right? And then so on and so forth. With this so much for the discussion, though, we have the Obamacare being tacked for quite a while. When they fail, Obamacare remains. And then there's another push of Obamacare. So do you think the Senate Republicans this time, or even House Republicans this time, more united than before, or still the same way? They can't even get a majority vote themselves.
I think this time, at least on the tax issue, they're more united because I watched multiple interviews, multiple news that their attitude toward tax cuts seemed to be uniform.
Okay.
However, on the Obamacare reveal or attempt to reveal thing, this issue seems to be very much still very much controversial because. As we know, even though they can be uniform themselves, but they still have to face the majority of the vote. So to me, what concerns me most is the funding. If they're gonna cut the tax, and then they're gonna give us cheaper health care, where is the fund gonna come from?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. All right, good question. That's a good question. There is a proverb saying that if you can't find it, follow the money, right? When you cannot even find the money, well, it's not even there. All right, good. With me today is my good friend Coco Wang. She is the founder and the CEO of Gold Owner, a professional business for healthcare. And by the way, I go with Coco all my healthcare issues, and kind of a person of trust.
Thank you.
And I don't even need to care about myself, and she or their office will do. So stay with us. We'll be back talking about Obamacare or whatever, Senate care versus tax cut. All together, we'll see what are in front of us. Peace. Hello, my lovely friends, my dear audiences. On a Monday, we're talking about Obamacare, which, according to news, about a week and a half ago, our President Donald Trump vowed again to overturn. And this time, the Senate Republicans got a stronger voice, saying that they even have a bill to promote. Do they not have a bill? That's in question. As to the bill itself, though, it has to be to the eye of public,
Correct.
Right? To the public eye, or otherwise you do not even have a bill. The question is, Senate Republicans this time, do they have the vote? Do they have enough vote to cast a majority or even supermajority? We do not know yet. Today, with my friend Coco Wang, we're touching base with all those issues, see where are we heading. I started this conversation by a huge trepidation for how long shall we hold on to Obamacare? The answer, thank God, is that it takes about quite some time.
Correct.
Well, within 3-5 years, so who knows? And who knows if I live for 3-5 years. All right, so probably I don't have a lifetime worry about it. So anyway, that's not important. What is important, what remains to be important is that you have this Obamacare still being the care of this nation.
Correct.
Right? Okay. Unless you have something convincingly good enough to replace, tangibly good enough to replace, you do not even have an option. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay, now, politically, there is always an issue to make, right? even lip service. So what do you think of Donald Trump? What do you think that made Donald Trump to start with a second push? Please.
It's always, so from the first day he's in office, we see that he's trying to push it kind of like a wave, ocean waves. The first wave come, it failed. And then second wave come again, bigger, and then it fell. So now I think he's trying to overly attack repetitively on this issue so we can draw more attention or eventually pass the so-called the revised law. So, but what we see is initially, during his campaign, he said, I'm just gonna do a repeal of the bill and make the America great again. This healthcare that I propose is gonna make America great again. And then later on, as he's coming to the office, he just kind of torted the topic a little bit, saying that instead of repealing it, I'm just gonna come out with a new law that's kind of similar, but I'm just gonna make it more toward majority's vote. So people like I don't want I don't want majority to count on the topics, then they don't have to worry about it. So then that's called the American Health Care Act. But now what we're seeing is that people are worried about the tax, people are worried about the funding. So what he's doing is that, I have a solution for the funding. What I would do is that basically instead of federal funding to states, to the subsidy program, I would do a fixed block grants that won't be paying as much, funding as before, as it did in Obamacare era. What it will do is that the state, as individually, will receive $215 billion less from 2020 to 2026. So over the 6 period.
Less.
So that, as a result, state like California, we have almost the top of the nation people who are enrolling, the percentage of people who are enrolling in this government's subsidized insurance program. As a result, states like us will be hurt the most because we are receiving less funding. It's all on top of us. So maybe state tax, even federal tax may be likely to decrease, but state tax may be likely to rise to offset for this kind of cut.
I see.
But in states like Texas, they don't even, people there didn't even take advantage of affordable
Originally,
care.
I thought if they have the interconnection, it might be the fact that here is the tax cut, that you have a bunch of saving there with the extra money that you are capable of paying your premium even higher.
Correct.
Right? And that is the normal logic talking about. But thing is that in your numbers, you're talking about $200-something billion cut off from California state receiving from the federal.
Correct.
The California state must look around for other ways to get the money.
To offset, correct.
To offset it, right? So for that, the state tax probably has to increase.
Most likely. Or what will happen is that initially everybody's eligible for as long as you qualify for certain income range, you qualify for subsidy. Maybe they're gonna shrink it to even less people with less income. Or programs like Medi-Cal, state-funded healthcare. Basically, the beneficiaries are unlikely to be paying for anything, not even premium. Program like this will be cutting. We're facing a huge budget cut because those people are dependent on.
After all, it's a number. It's a number game.
Correct.
Right? It's a number game. Either you pay a cheaper premium, you have a higher tax, or you have a lower tax, you pay a higher premium.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So the state, California, does not make money, right? Does not produce money. Money do not grow on trees, right?
Correct.
Cannot be planted, right? So has to come from us, taxpayers. After all, the taxpayers' own money, either donated to the state to make it up to the subsidy that cut off, or you want to reduce it so that we're capable to pay higher premium. Either way, Am I right?
Correct.
I'm quite confused. I'm really confused. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want you to upset all the knowledge that you have about the United States healthcare. Just to say we are a brand new nation just born, right? For us to do something like, say, total carefree like Europe, like they do in some European countries.
Correct.
So what do we need to do? Is it practical?
It's as if right now, if we're a new country, it's pretty practical because initially when we do the country planning, tax code planning, we'll be having a budget for healthcare, right? And then we could adjust the budget based on how many people use insurance this year, whether we're making it break even or we're have a deficit. The next year I will raise my tax regarding this, or I'll have more funding in this budget account. But for right now, California, what we're facing is that a lot of people are, unlike a brand new nation, we have a lot of deficit already. So then in order to receive less funding, we have to offset that. And then have a universal universal health care program is very much unrealistic at this point.
But okay, now, to just learn a lesson, right? Just to learn how others do. For example, UK.
Yes.
For example, Canada. For example, Greece, right? How do they do to have those universal health care? Nobody pays anything, everybody pays tax. That's it.
Yes.
How about that?
So with that, yes, we can definitely do that, but that will upset a lot of people because, as you know, their tax bracket is very, very high compared to us. Maybe 60% of their income goes into tax already. That creates all the social benefit that they receive from the government as a result of how high bracket their tax are. In California, we are relatively okay in the nation, right? In order to receive same benefit like them, and given the increasing number of residents coming into California, most of them are likely immigrants who have never filed tax before. And then most likely they will be looking to receive benefit just like everybody else, maybe retirement, health care. So in order to do that, we are looking to increase the tax bracket even higher than Europe, because people in Europe are likely already be paying tax since the first day they work. But in a state like California, we are taking in a lot of immigrants who have never filed tax before. Then we have to raise our tax bracket even higher than that of Europe in order to offset for those.
In other words, we are in an old system that has burden on us.
Correct.
Right? We can't just shift off the burden. We have to carry it. And the burden needs to be offset. Right? To offset, we got to continue doing what we want to do.
Correct.
Well, anyway, that's hard. It is hard to even think about, and let alone the fact that it's hard to understand it. Today, with my good friend Coco Wen, founder and the CEO of Gold Owner, a professional company for public health care, we are learning. I'm trying to learn to understand the system, and then I want to see, is it still risky to stick to Obamacare? What kind of challenge are we facing, or is Obamacare facing for the next 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year down the street, right? So let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, we'll find out what's happening at the Senate. And the House of Senate, House of Representatives, see the Republicans, see if they can unite it to do a better job. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome back to the discussion about healthcare. So far, when you say healthcare, you're still talking about Obamacare, because that's the only prevailing care so far to the United States. In California, you're talking about covered California, is just a different name under Obamacare. Am I right? So we are all beneficiaries of Obamacare, and I don't want to wish long live Obamacare. I would just say let it run as long as it could before we all die. All right. Anyway, with my friend Coco Wang, founder and CEO of Gold Honor, a professional healthcare company, who helped me a lot all the time. We're sharing her knowledge about the Obamacare so far being challenged again because our President Donald Trump vowed a few days ago saying that he is going to overturn Obamacare again, and even with a Senate bill. To the Senate bill, though, is there any points that you want to kind of pinpoint out, see what's going on, what's exactly they're trying to?
Yeah,
Please.
there's about 6 points that I want to share with you and the audience.
Okay.
So the first one is that what in their proposal, they say they will change the tax code to allow individuals to fully deduct all health insurance premiums. So let's backtrack a little bit, right? So what does that mean? Meaning, if we're gonna change the tax code to allow individually to deduct my fully contributed premium for 2017. Maybe I contribute $200 a month, so over a year that's $2,400, and then I will be fully deduct from my taxes. What does that mean essentially is that we probably will face a premium increase, and in order to offset the negative response from the audience, from the citizen, from the residents, how high the premium will go up, is that they say, okay, it's okay, but even the premium goes up, we will allow you to fully deduct it from your individual tax returns. So likely that's the case.
In my case, for example, I pay $400, for example, right? And then you're talking about 48,000 in a year, right? So at the end of your tax year, I claim that I paid this much out to my premium so that my tax income is reduced by that extent.
Correct.
I pay less tax.
Correct.
It's the same way.
It's
we work out the same thing.
Correct.
Work out the same thing.
Yes.
But the difference is that for that tax saving, you may, for example, over $48,000, you may save a tax of, so for give you an example, you pay like 20%, right? You pay $9,000 of tax for that money, right? And yet, on the other hand, you paid $48,000 out already.
Correct.
All right, so you're still end up loser.
Correct.
Right. So the tax subsidy or the tax deduction, or I mean, what is that? Taxable money deduction, is still a game.
Yes, but because of the fact that they included this item in their proposal, most likely the trend is that we're gonna see a premium hike, so that they're trying to offset the public's unhappiness about the fact of the premium hike, so they give you a deduction based on that.
So in other words, they raise it up and give you a deduction later.
Yes, but in a way, it's
like what they do Christmas time, right? About a month ahead or whatever, they raise the price, and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh my God, there is a 20% reduction."
Correct. So whether that will be played out or not, it's still yet a question. But it's just very interesting to look at the proposal this way. So the second.
So this is being proposed at the Senate House.
This is being proposed right now.
Oh no, that won't work. That won't work. Yeah, I don't like it. Go ahead.
All
what else they are proposing?
Yes, the second point that they have is that they will allow insurance plans to sold across state lines, presumably increasing competition. So what does that mean is that this was actually included in the American Health Care Act before. What they're trying to do is that, I want to increase the competition in the market, right, between different insurance companies, between different states. So essentially, even though I live in California, maybe I do business in Texas, but I know for sure that Texas premium for a 30-year-old female is going to be definitely cheaper than California. Then me, as a California resident, I will go to Texas to buy their insurance. That will have the network for me to use or see doctors, go to hospital in California.
That makes lots of sense.
Correct.
That's a lot of make sense because it follows the open market rule.
Correct.
Whoever runs a price system that's not compatible, well, of course, you're out of market.
Yeah,
right.
But the only concern with that is so this year, maybe for 2018, right, everybody in California realized, oh, Texas plan is so cheap, so we're going to go to Texas plan to buy their premium. So next year, Texas resident will receive a premium hike, because what essentially does is that California premium is too expensive, so nobody bought it this year. Next year, insurance company want to attract California resident to buy insurance in California again, so they're gonna drop the premium.
All right.
But then, so for next year, because they didn't expect so many people to buy insurance in Texas, the insurance company probably didn't make much money.
But Texas insurance company will enjoy a bigger market share, right?
Correct.
And then they have their basic, and they have the Texas residents buying, and they have California residents buying, and for them it's a bigger market to enjoy.
Correct.
Why are they losing money?
Insurance companies are losing money because say that the healthcare in California is more expensive because maybe the technology is more advanced. So people in here who resides here based on their zip code are paying a higher premium because the medical expense in this area is higher.
That's why we go to Texas.
Yes. Now we go to Texas buying the cheaper premium insurance. However, we're still using it in the higher medical expense California residents.
Oh, otherwise, we're still seeing doctors here.
Yes.
We're still taking medications about here.
Yes. So the medical expense-wise didn't really change. It's still
In other words, the California insurance company got to use the Texas money to buy the California medication.
Correct.
To pay for California services.
Correct.
So
the insurance company is losing money.
They're losing money.
Yes, so that
and Texas is not losing money.
Texas is not losing money, but the insurance company in Texas who base their premium based on their zip code because maybe the medical service.
That's not a bad thing. You know what? Healthcare industry, the other day I learned, is the biggest industry of whole United States.
Correct.
Nobody is bigger than healthcare industry.
Correct.
Right? Even NASA put NASA together. Right? No. Even military whatsoever. No bigger than healthcare. All right. Now there are big money makers in the system.
Correct.
All right. It is them who want more profit.
Correct.
Right. That includes the pharmaceutical manufacturers.
Correct.
They make tons of money. Right. Now, when California is forced to use Texas money to provide services, California services, to us covered, though, they are forced to reduce their prices, which is not bad. Do you think that will force them, everybody, to give up a little share? So, including the pharmaceutical manufacturers.
Definitely everybody's in here to do business. Like you said, they're the big money makers who wants to always try to dig more profit, right? But because of this open market, they're in a way, in order to stay competitive, in order to stay in business, they would have to give up some of their profit.
Yes.
Yeah. But how that will play out for me essentially is that going to following year, they're gonna bring back what they can from the loss. They're gonna bring back more profit from the loss. So what they essentially do is raise premium for everybody. Raise premium for everybody.
Once again, it's a culture issue. All right, it's a culture issue. The culture has to be changed. The culture of that industry has to be changed, right?
Correct.
Sometimes you got to be satisfied with 100% profit. That's it. You are no longer looking for 1,000%. Right? Me, somebody pays me 20%, I'm happy already, right? For them, 100% is suffering, They're looking for 1,000%. So the culture has to change. Do you think that trend will force the culture to change?
In a way, yes. But, for a business person like me, I'm a businesswoman. We always, maybe this year we have a budget deficit. We didn't earn as much money as we planned out. Then for next year, definitely I'm gonna cut my spending, increase my income in order to create a bigger profit. So whether that will force them to give up their profit or not definitely remains a question. Most likely they will be forced to give up their profit this year.
Of course. Given some time, given the days and times, the years altogether, they must be pushed that way because it's the culture that creates the industry, and the industry must do something to the culture. So stay with us. We'll be right back, please. Hello, my dear friends, lovely audience. Welcome back to the show, my dear fellow Americans. It is talking about our Obamacare, our own healthcare system that has been challenged over and over again. And once again, it is attacked by the fact that our President Donald Trump vowed a few days ago, talking about overturning Obamacare with another Senate bill. And the Senate, they are cooking something, and it smells out already. Some good, some bad. Anyway, let's hear from Coco. Coco Wang is the founder and CEO of Gold Honor, a professional healthcare business person. And she and her company does a lot covering Southern California. So welcome back to the show, though.
Thank you, Jack.
To the point, what else do you think are the points that you want to introduce about this Senate bill?
Yes. So one thing that's very important is that they actually mentioned that they will ensure. So this is actually from President Donald Trump before, but they once again bring it up, that they will ensure price transparency for medical procedures and other healthcare costs.
Say it again, they increase price transparency?
Yeah, they will ensure that the price transparency for medical procedures and other healthcare costs. So what does that mean is that most likely, before we know, people make a lot of money, but we don't know how they're making the money.
Okay,
right?
all right.
Now
okay.
they're gonna give us a price transparency, which means is that they're gonna let us see their income
How
statements,
much they are making.
their expenses. As a result, we can know how much they're making, which to me it's pretty much a good news because everybody, when being checked, being audited by IRS, they review the most truly statement.
Yeah, you're right.
They review the most unavoidably side.
Why not them?
Yes. Because of this, most likely the insurance company will worry that, if I'm making 20% profit before, but 20% in the industry is a lot. Everybody else is only doing 10%. But the public is going to see the 20%, the extra 10% I make over everybody else. So then most likely they're going to increase their expense, whether it's on the insured, whether on the policy holder.
To fake it out.
Correct. But as a result, it's kind of self-conscious. They will be more self-conscious regarding how much they're charging insurance and how much profit they're making across the industry. So essentially, it's a good news.
Yeah, this is only pushing them to increase their cost of operation, right? When their cost of operation is increased on the books, it wouldn't show an ugly picture.
Correct.
Right? Or less ugly. So that is not something that the constituents will accept because they want a transparency. When we say transparency, we must see transparency.
Correct.
Other than that, not transparency.
Correct.
Right?
So
okay.
In other words, other than increasing the spending, say they have higher profit in terms of percentage than the rest of the insurance company in the industry, what they will also likely to do is lower their income. So basically lower everybody's premium.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
So if that's the case, in order to promote transparency, then definitely it's welcomed by the general public.
Yeah, of course. General public will like that. And is there anything talking about pharmaceutical industry, the manufacturers?
Actually, this time, no. But
No.
what they did talk about is that they will allow medication to be imported, creating more competition in the drug pricing. This was already mentioned in Donald Trump's campaign. However, how this is going to be played out, whether pharmaceutical company will accept this, and how this will affect the overall population, we really don't know. It's just that this is something that they keep on mentioning without an actual plan, without actual strategic planning. So we can't really say for sure this will be happening, but it's good that they're thinking about competition to drive the price down.
All right. Anyway, if you compare the Senate bill now to the fact that in the past, the last approach, they did not even have a bill, things are getting better. At least we know what they are pushing, right? So even though it still depends on the fact that if the Senate House, they can work out a majority with their Republicans, right? So do you think this time the Senate House are likely to work out a Republican majority?
Most likely, yes, because it's more practical, it's more strategic, that they have actually some sort of layout of what they're trying to accomplish. And also a reason why I say this is that they also mention about the tax to be inclusive in their plan. Because I think most people, what their concern is that even we would like to have a new healthcare system, but where is the money gonna come from? So because the fact that this time they also included how the money is gonna be driven because of the tax cut, shifting from federal fund to state fund, giving state more control, maybe, most likely, it's likelier than before that they will receive funding.
After all, right? We got to understand Donald Trump. We got to understand every presidency. Even if I were them, I would do the same thing. In my first year, or even first half year, I would push to establish my own monument, right? To build it with credit. See, Jack Shaw is really different. Look what he did, something like that. And he is running, chasing after clock to build up his credit. That is totally understood, right? And if you look at the things, we talk about the wall, we talk about .com, we talk about Obamacare, we talk about tax cut, all these things, he touched the bid and run, touch the bid and run, touch a bid and run. That gives me an impression this guy is wanting to build up his credit. That's it.
Correct.
Trying to push, poking everywhere, see where it can go, right? So that if remains the truth, though, we are even better off. We'd rather have him poking holes to see where he can build credit, rather than the fact he really insisted on going his own way.
Correct.
So do you agree with me in that regard?
I do, because there's a lot of issue right now. We have to focus on whether it's terrorism, whether it's nuclear weapons, whether it's healthcare bills, whether it's tax cut. The fact that Mr. Donald Trump is trying to resolve or trying to bring the attention to different topics, we actually see that he's concerned. He's concerned about what he can accomplish, or maybe concerned about what the Republican Party can accomplish during his first year of presidency. But regardless of what he tries to accomplish, the fact that they're focusing on the topics, which tend to be the most controversial and most urgent issue in the nation, it's good. They're bringing attention.
And also, we got to pay attention to the fact that midterm is coming.
Correct.
Right? Everybody has to play a little more amicable so that they don't lose vote.
Correct.
Okay, including Senate Republicans or House Republicans. They don't want to get overboard too much so that they lose their vote.
Correct.
And the same thing should happen to Donald Trump, and he is going to play or has to play more amicably rather than spearheading.
Correct.
Right? All right. Anyway, okay, my dear friends, after checking, I feel better than I started with. When I started, I had a very, very heavy heart, plus the Las Vegas story made my heart super heavy, like lead. And as we approach getting to the answer of those questions, with Obamacare, number one, we don't have to worry about Obamacare so far. At least for the next 3, 4, or 5 years, things will remain the same way. And number two, we try to understand there are lip services. There are a push for credit for the first year, especially at least during the midterm. Yeah, those are understood. To the industry of healthcare, we understand money has to be made. Money has to come somewhere, either way. Either your pocket as taxpayer or whoever's pocket, and they have to increase their price anyway. So we're tied up like that. So thank you very much for watching, my dear friends. And thank you, Coco, for sharing.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, good. I hope next time you got a good news for me.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Same here.
All right, good.